test means what? You know that whenever you have designed a complex circuitry or a complex embedded system, we do some testing. Now you know the testing as your test bench in your design, but the test bench in your design is testing only the functional level of your complete embedded system. Functional level of complete embedded system means that the test bench what you design will be testing only your program or only the functional operation of the circuit. But the test what I am talking about here and design for test is the physical testing. Physical testing means when you have fabricated your chip, that time it will be taking care of the testing part. Now if you make a circuit and you try to test it, then you imagine you would have manufactured some crores and crores of set of that instrument. How it will be possible to test so many final devices? So what do we do is we will make certain specific circuits inside it so that it will be useful for testing only. So we call it as design for test. So we make that circuit so that we are able to touch upon the intermediate connections and to understand which part of the circuit is improper so that we can correct it also. So this is the main motive of this design for test. So as you can see in your slide, the for any simple circuit, testing involves applying test cases on the chip inputs and verifying that the chip produces the correct output. So this is feasible only for a simple circuit, for a simple and small circuit. But you imagine the time and cost what is involved in testing a complex or a big system, and it can also reduce this time and cost which is required to test a big complex system. It can be reduced by including additional circuitry to improve the system testability. So this additional circuitry is not part of the operation of the circuit. This additional circuit is only for testing purpose, special testing purpose only this additional circuit is used for. So this circuitries includes any elements that makes the internal nodes observable. So you know that in a big complex system, all the wires need not be seen by the designer. But for testing, we need this internal interface wire also to be observable. And why? Because we need to test it at a various level. So you imagine that there are 10 subsystems connected to each other, but you will be able to see only the input node and the output node. But the internal connection between this 10 subsystem you can't see. So the circuitry, special circuitry are made so that your internal circuitry, the connection between the intermediate blocks can also be seen, and so that we can perform testing automatically. And when you do this testing, it comes under a special mode of system operation. You will get to know all these things when I go further. So we have to make our system in testing mode, and when it is in testing mode, the circuit which was made specifically for testing, that part becomes activated, and then we will be able to test the circuit with all the internal nodes measurable, observable, and correctable. So design for test refer to design techniques that is required to improve its testability. So this is the importance for design for test. If you don't do this, many circuits will be bad, and we will have a very bad customer opinion that half of the circuit what is supplied by this company is bad. So it is very, very important that you test your things before supplying to the customer. Okay, now fault model and fault simulation. Now fault model means what? We make certain effects in the circuit which can produce the fault. So we only make a fault model. we make a fault model so that it this embedded system. So this is called as fault model. And what is fault simulator? Fault simulator is specifically, it simulates the in the circuit operation, it simulates the fault. It specifically inject the fault at a specific location. So what does it do? Your complex circuit is there. It has the capability of inducing the fault at certain specific place, and you induce fault at that place and then check what is the test vector, and we inject the fault, we check the test vector. By injecting fault and testing the test vector, we get to know where is the fault and what is the fault. So this comes under fault simulator. So what does the simulator do? This simulator will repeat the simulation of various fault and various location in the circuit. And once all the faults have been simulated and all the part of the circuit is checked, we say that we have uh, achieved a better fault coverage. See, what I mean to say is, I had discussed this part of coverage, the coverage part, the code coverage part I had discussed in a previous topic. So fault coverage means what? If you are able to simulate the fault, and if you are able to take care of all the possible type of fault in your circuit, then we will say that fault coverage is 100%. But for a larger design, it is impossible to get 100% fault coverage. Some part will still be untouched, but we have to see to it that we go for a maximum coverage of the fault. So that is about the fault model, fault simulation, and 100 fault coverage near to 100%. And how do we do this? You people saw that automatically you could make test bench model. Here also, for this type of test models also, we have automatic test pattern generator, that is ATPG. That is also an EDA tool. So we have automatic test pattern generator, which takes care of generating the test pattern to detect the fault. Okay, now we will see the first type of fault, and it is a very, very important type of fault which is seen in embedded system. You all know that embedded system deals with working with zeros and one only. So we call something called a stuck at model. Now, stuck at model means that the system will be either stuck at 0 or stuck at 1. Now, what do you mean by stuck at 0 and stuck at 1? See, you know that all the gates will be working on 0 and 1, and all the wires which are connected between these different gates will be carrying this voltage level of 0 and voltage level of 1, and that is how we read our signal. So what you can see on the screen now, a circuit with a stuck 1 fault. What I am trying to show at stuck at model fault is, I am also trying to show what is stuck at model and how do we detect that. And what do you mean by fault coverage also? With this I will be explaining you. Now see this circuit. In this OR gate, this output wire will have 0 or 1 based upon B and C input. So you know the OR operation. If B and C either or both are 1, then only 1 should come here. But if both are 0, 0 should come here. So this stuck at 1 fault is trying to show that this wire has a problem and this wire is stuck at 1. Or we can say output of this OR gate is stuck at 1. There is a problem in this OR gate or in this wire, and you have a permanent 1 value here. Now you have to see that if my test pattern does not take care of all the possible values, this fault can go unnoticed. For example, if you have 0, 0, 1, BC 0, 1, it will be 1 only, whether it is because of actual output or whether it is because of stuck. You don't understand at Z that fault has happened. Same way, when BC is 1 0 or 1 1, fault is not being detected only. But the case when B and C both are 0 0 and A becomes a 1, and A becomes a 1, then we can detect this fault. So this is what do you understand by generating the test pattern. So what is the test pattern for ABC to detect this fault is 1, 0, 0. For example, if your BC both are 0 and A is also 0, then also this will not be detected. So the only pattern with which this stuck 1 fault is detected is when your A is 1 and B and C are 0, 0. So when 1, 0, 0, then only this fault can be located or detected. So this is called as stuck-at model, and this is the importance of generating the test model to detect any fault, test pattern generator to detect any fault. Okay, so this is stuck-at model, and I have explained stuck-at one fault. I hope you understood this. The other type of stuck-on fault is shown with this inverter circuit. Now you know that this inverter circuit will be taking care of your off and on by the values of this PMOS and NMOS. Now, this PMOS and NMOS, you know that at a time either of this only will be switched on. You know this, right? So if your down MOS is conducting means your output will be 0. If your up MOS is this PMOS is conducting means your output will be 1. Now stuck on fault means if your this PMOS is permanently on. This is called a stuck on fault. If your PMOS is permanently on, so when this is off and this is on, it will not detect the fault. But if a situation come when your NMOS is supposed to be on, then what should be your output? Output should be ground. But even if this is also on and this is also on, what will happen? You only think what will happen if both the transistors are on. If both the transistors are on, it will behave as a voltage divider circuit. Okay, if both the transistor becomes on, it will behave as a voltage divider circuit, and the output logic will neither be 1 nor be 0. What it will be? It will be some intermediate level, and that intermediate level will be taken as an invalid level. So as soon as any wire starts showing that intermediate level, which is taken as invalid level, we will understand that somewhere the stuck-on fault has happened. Either some PMOS is mistakenly on all the time, or some NMOS is mistakenly on all the time. Because this circuit means either of the PMOS or NMOS should be 1. If both are 1, means stuck-on fault has happened, and your output will start showing some intermediate logic level, which is some invalid level. So this is about stuck-on fault. So this is how we take care of stuck-at fault and stuck-on fault. Other fault models are also there, which includes bridging fault, which represents short circuit connection between signal wires. That is called as bridging fault. You should know these fault names and all. So first one is stuck-at fault, second one is stuck-on fault, third one is bridging fault which represents short circuit connection between signal wire, and fourth one is delay fault is where the propagation delay of a circuit is longer than normal. So we know all the propagation delay of the circuit, but if it goes more than the normal one, then we will call it as delay fault, and we have to locate why this is happening. And there is fifth type of fault, which are the fault in the storage element. So these are various type of fault. So till now I talked about what is design for test, why we require the specific design for test, what do you mean by fault model, what do you mean by fault simulation, and what do you mean by test pattern generator, and how we have different automatic test pattern generator in market. Then we got to know about different type of faults. like stuck at 0 and stuck at 1 fault, then stuck on fault, bridging fault, then delay fault, and faults in storage elements. So now we have seen the two parts, faults and why we need to detect this fault. Now I will talk about the solution for all these things. So solution comes under various category. So number one is scan design and boundary scan. You all have heard this word of boundary scan before also, when you people had um, uh, doing implementing your circuit on FPGA. Some boundary scan was coming into picture, but that time you were not much bothered what is boundary scan. Now you will get to know what do you mean by boundary scan. Now, some part of this I will cover today and some in the next class. So, let me tell about the scan design part at least. Now, scan design means what? This technique addresses the problem of sequential system or sequential data path by modifying the register to allow them to be chained into long shift register called scan chain. I don't think that you understood anything with this, but I will explain you in more detail. See, for example, when I had talked about the previous circuit of AND OR gate, that was a combinational circuit. So there was no memory involved there, and it was easy to detect fault for combinational circuit. But for sequential system, when you have so many registers and there will be a different chain of operation of those different register, at a time some specific register will take part in the operation, at other time other circuit will take part in the operation, and also it will take the memory part, and designing the test for this is very, very difficult. So what do we do in this is, for a sequential system we design something called a scan design. Now what do you mean by scan design? You can see on this circuit, these all are D flip-flops or D registers. There is a specific test mode wire. Test mode, if it test mode is 0, this will behave as a normal chain of D register. But if this test mode is 1, it goes into testing mode. And when it goes into testing mode, your scan in, you can see in each flip flop, you have a input of scan in. The time when you go to test mode equal to 1, it goes into testing mode, and at that time the scan in input will start working. Scan in input. So when we bring it in testing mode, and then we will apply different values of test pattern to this scan in, and the final output also as scan out. So we can generate different test pattern, give the values of zeros or 1 or however to detect the fault here. So what you can see here is, here you can see that your scan in, you can see this connection scan in is coming here, which is also connected to one of the input here. So this is a generalized circuit which is trying to show you how a register is modified, how the connection in the register is modified to bring scan chain into picture. Scan chain means what? It is scanning the complete design. The way when you do scanning, you take care to touch upon each part of the surface, that is scanning, when you touch upon each part of the surface. So here also scanning means it will touch upon each register and each chain. So here only 3 registers are shown, but you can see that how extra connections are made so that you can scan the complete sequential design. So this is scan design, but it is shown here, but how this scan part comes into picture. You all know the internal circuit of D flip-flop, right? So suddenly if I bring one scan in, how does it work? You should know that, no? When you bring the scan in, how does it work? That also will be seen later. Okay, so you can see that you know this flip-flop. right? D flip-flop, you know. Now you try to remember your flip-flop register, and then you try to think what has to be done with this test mode and scan in. You can see only two inputs have come here extra, that is mode and scan in. Now you can see here what is happening. This is your actual D flip-flop which you have been working till now in your digital circuit syllabus or wherever you have seen this one. So this is the modified flip-flop. So what you can see here now, mode goes into 1, 2:1 mux. So when mode is 0, it is simple D connected to this and it behaves as a simple D flip-flop. But when mode is 1, when mode is 1, your scan in input is connected to your D flip-flop, and your D register or flip-flop will start working on this scan in input. Then your, what is this? This is making your uh, chip enable, your D flip-flop enable using this clock enable. Now you know that I wanted to bring mode into picture. I wanted to bring mode into picture. So even if mode is 0 and CE is 1, even if mode is 0, CE is 1, your D flip-flop will be enabled. And anyway, if mode is 1 also, it will be enabled. That is why this OR gate is there. But why this connection was required? Because we wanted to have a two separate input for mode and scan in. But your chip enable also has to come here, so that it finally it goes and connected to your D flip-flop CE input. So this is the modified flip-flop. See, one more important thing I would like to tell you here is that whenever we are making any such circuit, this modification of flip-flop is done at a next level after designing the circuit. When the functional design engineer make the circuit, he will make only connections with the D flip-flop. This test addition will be done by the test engineer. So the test engineer will be updating the design to make it testable. So the design engineer or development engineer will take care of making the circuit with this D flip-flop only. A second group of engineers will be involved to modify your design to bring this testing capability later into the picture. So that is done by a separate engineer. So this is about scan design. You should also know about the boundary scan and all. Now boundary scan and all will be a something more advanced than your scan design. So boundary scan and again the BIST test, all that I will be doing in the next class.